Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Julim. I'm with Red Hat, but today I'm actually speaking on behalf of the OpenStack User Experience team. And what I'm going to talk about today is about the user research we've done today and some of the work done in the most recent 6 months. So for folks who may or may not know about us, the OpenStack UX organization or group is actually a group comprised of different members of the community. They include members from EMC, HP, Rackspace, IBM, Intel, Puppet Labs, Red Hat, obviously, and many more. So for folks who don't know about us or would like to get involved, I have a slide on how you can get involved. One of the things that we're striving towards is to improve the overall user experience within the OpenStack cloud itself. As some of you may or may not know, sometimes it's not the best experience, but it's something that we're iterating on and continuing to improve over time. So in terms of what kinds of works we've done to date, I want to say a few summits ago, we first started out working on personas, but more recently, we've done some work around usability testing. We've also done some surveys, and within the past 6 months or so, the focus primarily has been around persona development. And one of the things we found within the community is there's not a good enough understanding about our users today. And what I mean by that is OpenStack today is still heavily developer-driven. And so a lot of the work that we're doing around personas is really to try to help the development community to better understand our customers or users, the people who are using OpenStack itself. The next item on the topic that I'm going to talk about is a survey and some interviews we've done around Neutron. Primarily, we've done some research into Nova to Neutron migration, and what we found is there's still a lot of people still on Nova networks, and so we've done some research to try to figure out what's the problem, or rather, what are the barriers to entry for a lot of those customers. And lastly, there's some usability testing that we've done. I should mention, I've been told I have about 12 minutes to talk. I highly doubt I'll get through all the material today, but if you're interested and would like more information within the slide deck, there are links to a lot of the details, as well as I'll be available outside for additional conversation if needed. So just to put things in perspective, what is a persona? And I don't know, how many people here know what a persona is? Okay, small handful. Basically a persona represents a cluster of users that are intended to help the designers, developers, or people who are working on developing a product to better understand our users. And it's not just one, it's many. So especially with regards to OpenStack, what you probably are aware is there's a ton of different users. It's going to take a long time to actually develop this. And so over time, back in the Atlanta Summit, I did a very similar talk, and we talked a little bit about the cloud operator. And since then, we've done some additional work. The link here is called the OpenStack Personas Ecosystem. On the OpenStack wiki itself, there is a whole personas ecosystem that includes the cloud personas that the cloud operator personas and other personas we've created in the past. But since then, instead of talking about what we've done in the past, we've worked on some newer personas, and those include things like the infrastructure architect, service administrator, DevOps engineer, and so on. So earlier this month, some of the different members within the community met in Austin, Texas to actually do something like a scrum, if you will, and actually work on these personas. And what I'm just going to show you, and I won't have time to actually go through each of these, is to share with you some highlights of them. For example, if you look at this infrastructure architect, what we've tried to do is highlight some of the main tasks that they do. It doesn't list every single task or responsibilities, but what we try to do is identify where they are within that journey to the cloud or in that life cycle. So if you look at the bottom of this screen where it says cloud adoption stage, the infrastructure architect actually works primarily in the earlier phase of the cloud adoption lifecycle. And so what you actually see is all the way from deciding, defining, or planning, installing, and operating the cloud, all the way to sort of the day two experience of having to update it, as well as your regular day-to-day usage of the cloud. So this is the infrastructure architect, and I'm just going to show you, we've got one covering the service admin who covers and focuses more on the deployment aspects or install that you see right here. Cloud ops, and this is more around the operational and update portion of the cloud. And lastly, the domain administrator or domain admin, who's more involved on the end user consumption of OpenStack, as well as the DevOps engineer. And I know some folks are going to say, hey, this is not what I do. This, should probably preface, is more about the application DevOps engineer, and so it's focused more on the tail end here. But again, all of this information is available online for you guys to take a look later. Why I'm sharing some of this is we're still early in the development of these personas. What we're looking to do is get some help from you folks in the community to reach out to us, because we're looking to validate them and start to help build them out, so that maybe at the next summit we'll actually have real names and nice pictures of people, and we'll be able to tell more about them, and they'll be incorporated into that personas ecosystem that I mentioned earlier. And I know I'm rushing out of time. Okay, so let me skip to the next topic. It's about Nova Network to Neutron migration. As mentioned, the OpenStack UX community was asked to help with trying to identify why people are still on Nova. This was work done in collaboration between HP, Red Hat, as well as the OpenStack Foundation. And so we are also working with the Neutron PTL. What we did find, as you probably know, is there are some people still on Nova. It is decreasing. I know in the last user survey, they had a much higher number, but in the recent user survey for OpenStack, the numbers are currently around 16%, and there's a nice breakdown on production use versus POC and dev test environments if you want to look at the user survey information. I think one of the things that we found is that the users who primarily are staying on Nova are pretty happy with Nova networking, and the reasons are many. And if you take a look at this slide right here, it talks about some of the reasons they're staying with Nova networks, and primarily some of it is around the complexity of Neutron. A lot of people find that Neutron is still fairly complex. It's hard to troubleshoot, it's hard to manage, and hard to operate. And not everybody needs all those rich features that Neutron offers today. All right. Did I go to the next slide? Yep. Okay. So in terms of Nova Network to Neutron migration barriers, we asked the community, why don't you want to migrate to Neutron, and what were some of the barriers? And so these were some of the things that came up. These are prioritized by descending order of what people thought were key barriers. Things around scalability, feature parity with Nova networks, the need for end users to set up Neutron virtual networks and security groups were an issue. I think a lot of people expect that the end users want this to be a fairly easy experience. Like a lot of the people say, hey, it should be like a public cloud, or using a PaaS platform like OpenShift, where when you spin up your application, you should not have to know about the networking, security groups, and setting up all these infrastructure type of things. So that's one of the biggest barriers. And so take a look at this. I probably won't go into all of these, but there's enough barriers that people don't want to go to to Neutron because of it. Now, on the flip side, we also surveyed people to say, hey, now that you've actually migrated to Neutron, what were your new findings in terms, is it what you expected? Are there sort of different expectations to what were some of the issues that you're struggling with? And some of the big things, as you look at this, is they're not quite the same as the barriers they first perceived. Okay, I have to speed up apparently. And I lost my train. So in terms of post-migration concerns, a lot of them stem around scalability, HA capabilities, inability to share networks between projects, and they go on. This is a very short list of some of the concerns. What I wanted to mention is if you're interested in the details, that link at the bottom actually has more details and anecdotal comments from users. I'm not sure if I actually posted that, but if people are interested in the specifics, I'm happy to follow up offline. And lastly, we did also some usability testing in August, and this was around launching an instance within Horizon. If you want details about the scenarios tasks that were tested and the results, it's right there. And I think I'm done. The last thing I wanted to mention is if folks are interested in some more user research in terms of OpenStack, the community is here to help you. Come reach out to us. And lastly, if you would like to help out in the user experience community, we'd love to your help. And so these are links to the wikis, mailing lists, IRCs, meetings, how to reach out to us. I'm available to chat outside if you have any questions. Thank you so much.